Okay. Hi, I'm back. I'll be reading some more from The Deep End of the Ocean. Reese, Chapter 25, June 1994. June 1994. Four-time Reese would have bagged the last couple of weeks of school, but he figured that all he needed to do was get his dad on edge and his brand new driver's license would be folded six ways and stuck where the sun didn't shine in about 5 minutes flat. Dad was still dad. In fact, he was extra juvenile dad now that the Saint Sam was actually living under his roof. But he wasn't going to tolerate anything that would kick back on the family. Reese could picture the headlines: Miracle on Menard Street, regaining a son and losing another. Fuck that. He had 2 lousy weeks to keep his nose clean, and he was determined minded to do it. Through though though the strain was getting to him. He had two Tom papers due, and he'd been using the books he needed to write them, to prop up the broken leg on the old bed that had been Ben's. Judy had accused him of thinking he could absorb all the facts about multiple personalities, his chosen topic for psychology, by sleeping on them. Reese figured he knew everything about multiple personalities by OSMOSIS from living with his mother. But he had to settle down and with his house, the grand central of the universe. That was pretty hard to do. He couldn't get away from it. Everywhere he went in school, some teacher had a copy of the People magazine, the one with Sam dribbling in the driveway on the corner, the one with the headline that said "back but not bent," and underneath, "The Incredible Odyssey of a Lost Boy." In some dildo in fourth hour study hall, even as we to fucking autograph it. He did. Taking pity on the kid, he wrote "Best wishes, Daffy Duck." When he by rights should have written something much more blistering. His mom had a vulnerable shit hemorrhage when she seen Sam's picture on the cover, even more than she had over the first People cover, which Reese still remembered vitally. He heard her yelling downstairs, "What do these people think? That we have no life?" And his father answering back, That's what you used to do for a living, Tom, being Mr. Detective Psychiatrist, had of course asked him a couple of times, "Are you sure you didn't know it was Ben?" and we couldn't believe it. Like why? Like why? Wouldn't he have said something if he had if he had been really shocked, knowing the only thing his parents wanted on the entire earth was to find Ben. And Thomas said, because maybe it wasn't the only thing you wanted on the entire earth, which was what was frustrating about Tom. He always thought he could trick you into revealing some deep subconscious longing by bringing up something so far out of the ballpark. It was on top of a bus heading up Waveland Avenue West. In fact, had thought about it himself, and the only real reason he hadn't mentioned the red-haired kid to his mother was because it was just too damn ridiculous to think that his long lost brother lived around the corner. The kid didn't even really look like he remembered Ben. In fact, he didn't even remember Ben, not that much. I was 7 years old, for Christ's sake, he told Tom in disgust. What do you remember from when you were 7? I remember that I had a little brother who was 3 months old who died of SIDS, and I was the one who found him. And it took me 10 years to figure out why I was afraid of going to sleep. Tom told him. Tom told him. Trust old Tom to have a big dramatic answer. Well, that's why they said strings had to be crazy themselves. And then Tom had started asking him a whole bunch of stuff about how he felt about Cecily Lockhart, which we totally had nothing to say about. I mean, how could you be mad at a crazy lady for something she didn't even know was wrong? And when that didn't get anywhere, Tom had gacked on about how was he feeling about Sam. Was he mad at Sam? Reese couldn't figure why Tom would even ask. Mad for what? For getting all the attention, Tom said. I'm not a kid, Tom, Reese told him. I mean, if you lost a kid and hadn't seen him for 9 years, wouldn't you sort of want to spend all your time with him and be sort of obsessed with him? It's pretty natural, especially if you had this other kid that was. Tom had really zeroed in on that. Another kid who was what? Reese. What? Reese had shrugged. What? Reese? Another kid who wasn't worth being obsessed with? Dr. Kilgore, the psychotrap, can get really tedious. Tom had laughed then and asked Reese how he thought it would be if he had to listen to it 40 hours a week coming from his own mouth. and Reese had sort of loosened up. Then he told Tom he was thinking of becoming a psychiatrist himself. You didn't have to get dirty. You didn't just bury your mistakes like other doctors. Plus, Reese figured that Tom could have paid for a strip mall just with what he made off the CAPPADORAS a loan over the years. They talked about sports, about this idea Reese had that maybe he'd try out for basketball in the fall. Finally, junior being his last chance and all. Tom thought it was a pretty good idea, but Reese wasn't so. He wasn't much of a joiner, and though he did love the game and had some pretty heavy fantasies about suiting up and actually showing he could do it. He just didn't know if he could take the boredom of drills and shit. Nevertheless, he'd been doing a lot of stuff in the driveway, putting up folding chairs from wedding and dribbling around them until he was sweating like a warthog. Sam would come out there and do it too. Reese had to admit the kid was fast in spite of how big he was, and he already knew things. It had taken Reese years to learn, like never really letting your palm touch the ball. Sam could dribble solo a snake. Couldn't ease under with those hard long fingers, just the tips tapping all around. Dad would come out in the suit and try to play a few points with them. It was just like Grandma Rosie used to say about Grandpa. He looked like an immigrant mowing the lawn in a sport coat. Dad always tried to get in on it when Sam and Reese were doing something. It never failed to stiffen Sam up, Reese noticed. But Sam played baseball too, and practice was starting, so most of the other nights Reese dribbled and lofted and dribbled on his own. The last few days before school ended, Reese began taking a pumpkin into the deserted gym and trying some things in there, mostly seeing if his fadeaway jump shot was really as good as it felt in the driveway and on the playground. He'd been lifting weights a little bit to build up his arms. People didn't know it, but it took a lot more strength than a regular shot from midcourt because you were reeling back from the guard, basically weakening your stance instead of putting all your weight forward. But it could get a much bigger guy off you, and Reese knew that with his size he he was going to have to be able to be dead solid perfect with that and the free throws, or he'd have no chance at all until he started trying to perfect the fadeaway. He never understood just how incredible Jordan's shot really was. And Jordan didn't have that much height either. I mean, he had 10 inches on Reese, but by NBA standards, 6 feet 6 was no giant. Some nights, by the time Reese got home, his arms ached. He watched Sam and think, that kid's going to go wide and stuff them if he keeps growing like he is now. Was he jealous of Sam's size? He didn't think so. It just would have been a whole lot easier if he gotten a few more Mom's big Irish jeans than Dad's scrawny whoop ones. Look at Uncle Paul. You could float a cat in one of his shoes. In one of his shoes. Jealousy, nervousness. Half the time we realized he was hanging around after school trying to figure out what he was really feeling about Sam. If nothing else, his years with Tom had taught him that no matter how smart you are, when it came to how you felt about things, you were pretty much always the last to know. The first time he saw Sam, he knew it was Ben in the counselor's office while Sam was still in foster care. Reese had almost started to cry. He was so glad. He was so glad. It was like Ben had this light all around him, and he couldn't believe that if he walked right up to the kid, Ben wouldn't just grab his arm and start talking about the time the squirrel got stuck in the car engine, or the time Ben fell off the end of the long pier at Lake Delavan, or about the treehouse in Madison, even if he remembered the day in the lobby. Fuck. He was just so glad Ben wasn't dead. But Ben, that is Sam, had looked Reese right in the face, and he couldn't have been faking it. He looked like he never seen Reese before in his life. This is your brother, said the social worker. This is Vincent. The kid had offered to shake hands. Hi, Vincent, he said, and goddamn if his voice didn't sound like Ben, that funny, deep, hoarse voice that used to sound so weird out of a little kid. That was when Reese had wanted to just get away from all of them. This fucked up, unlucky bunch of people who didn't even recognize each other, any of them. He could be like Horace Greeley, or Theodore, or somebody, and just head out and walk on the railroad or something. Did people still walk on the railroad? But he known even then he he would never do it. He was too lazy and scared, and that was when he started getting irritated with the kid, with his yes madams, or and his table manners and his phobia about Johns. It hadn't it hadn't taken Reese or Carrie for that matter long to realize that Sam had this psycho thing that if you breathe on his food, he wouldn't eat it. And so Vincent got so he could just exhale a little at the dinner table just as Mom passed Sam his plate. And then Sam would sit there looking all sick, swallowing like the food was old socks that stuck in his throat. But then Carrie had started doing it too, and Dad lowered the boom. The kid was never anything but nice and polite to Reese. Nice and polite and just in himself it drove Reese nuts. He had no idea what to do to get to Sam. Sam just didn't talk. Didn't talk. One time the kid had come down while Reese was watching Hell is for heroes about 1 o'clock in the morning. Sam sat down, and after about half an hour he had said suddenly, so is that where you got it? What? Reese had asked. Your name. There was a guy in the movie called Reese. But that didn't have anything to do with his name Reese told Sam, and explained the we say a thing. And the kid was like, well, Vincent's a good name too, like Vincent Van Gogh. Reese had been pretty shocked. A little kid knowing about Vincent Van Gogh, but what he had said, and he sort of regretted it, was yeah, and he was nuts too. Sam, though, hadn't seemed to mind. All he said was, but you didn't cut your ear off, at least not yet. A pretty decent kid in some ways. He never got in your way. It made Reese wonder what it would have been like have been like having a kid brother. Carrie had always been so little. He couldn't remember a time he didn't have to take care of her. Though Tom said that when they grew up, that would bond them closer, like they were covered with some kind of rubber cement. Get out, reverse. Imagine the big block of fade back suit. Reese did it over and over, sometimes for an hour or more. He got so he was making it about 90% of the time. Of course, there was no real defense there, so he was probably giving himself breaks between concentrating on the shot and thinking about Sam. He didn't notice Teeter the day the day. The coach came up behind him, reached over his head, and slapped the ball away. Wee's heart felt like he'd been filled with helium. What? He yelled, rolling around. Tito was built like a mastodon. They said he guarded Pistol Pete, Maravich, back in college, but that was 20 years ago, and now he looked like he eaten Pistol Pete and his brother for breakfast. Coach Tito had to go 300 pounds dry. If it ain't CAPP, always, the terror on the playground, Tito said, in that Weasley sort, a southern voice Reese, always associated with drill sergeants in movies. I've been I've been watching you in here, Vince, going to drop out junior year and try to make the draft. The draft. No, Reese told him, recovering his ball. I'm just goofing around. Pretty famous guy now, Tito said, huh? You got me confused with my brother Reese. Told him, what the hell? Why piss the guy off? He still hadn't formally decided not to try out next year. All you CAPPADORAS are famous, right? Maybe that's why you don't think you have to show up for school except on alternating Tuesdays during the full moon events. We said nothing. Oh, I forgot, Tito went on. It ain't Vince, it's Reese. That's right, Reese. Pardon me. So, Reese, you like basketball? I like the game, we said evenly. They say you take them pretty well out there in the street. I do okay. Want to try with me? I don't care, we said. They played a little make it, take it. Tito was steadfast in spite of the poundage, and Reese had to hustle him. The coach also had natural size, so the layup was easy for him. But he couldn't get around Reese's fadeaway. Finally puffing, Tito said, "You got a pretty fake there." Reese was caught off guard. He smiled. I work hard at it, he said. You think of coming out for the team next year? I have been thinking about it. You think you could make it? I might try, we said evenly. Do you think that the other guys would be willing to put up with all your shit just because you got one shot? Reese felt all the blood pound into his face. The fat fuck. He drawn him out right into the water and then let him go. Tito went on. I've been watching you, CAPPADO, always, not just in here. You got a chip on your shoulder the size of Mount Rushmore, and you ain't got the size or the heart to back it up. Feeling the calling of his hands, the telltale the telltale signal we said come. To fear, he answered, I do okay. You do okay, huh? Teeter struck his poor face wide up next to Reese's. You do okay because everybody feels sorry for you. I knew your father growing up, Vince. Nicer guy, never walked the earth. Everybody felt like hell. All the shit he went through, and then what does he get? This one who thinks his shit don't stink. Tito waved one broad finger under Reese's nose. You got speed and moves, but you come out for my team. You gotta no. Why then you ain't no special case. You will be the same as the rest of them, maybe a little lower on the scale because you've been living your whole life on getting the breaks. I have never began. Come on, CAPP, always. You think you are such a big man? How about how about acting like it? Are you a big man or just a bully? He scooped up the ball, Reese's own ball, balancing it in his big ham hands, and bounced it once off Reese's forehead, then again. The bridge of Reese's nose stung like a son of a bitch. His eyes began to run, but he didn't put up his hands to block Tito's attack. Tito did it again and again. Big man, Reese, huh? Want to go? What are you going to do now? Can you take it, CAPPADO, always? Or, or are you just a pussy deep down? And he drew back to give the ball a little more punch. But then Reese's fist came up and he snatched the ball down, almost pulling Tito off balance. The big man's face slackened and he took a step back. Oh shit, Reese thought. That was the way they all acted when they saw the look. What did I ever do to you, you fuck? All I was doing was messing around, maybe trying to do the ordinary thing just once, and even that got him in the shitter. We felt again that ferocious urge to take off, to smash Teeter's meat nose into his brain, and then run forever to a place where we didn't have to carry around every fucking thing he ever done or thought like a load of bricks on his back. Look, we said then, look, I just forget it, Tito said, whirling and slouching away. Your kind of attitude nobody needs. And we just stood there, both arms wrapped around his ball, holding it to his chest as tightly as he could, while Tito flipped off the light switch to the overheads, leaving him in the dark. Okay, that's all for now. Bye-bye.